All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here on the Skandor Akbar Tribute Radio Show, and on the line with us we have smart Bart Sawyer. Bart, I know you got to work with Ak a lot. You know, what are you going to miss most about him, man?
Well, he was a great gentleman. I actually grew up watching him wrestle. You would not believe the heat that man generated. But then after I started wrestling, I was more of what you'd call, I guess, the proper term is enhancement talent. He treated me like I was gold. He was still asking about me years later. I guess I sucked that bad. But he did something that I don't think I'll ever forget. I'll always remember in my mind's eye. They were doing a spot show someplace, and I met up with them. And Ak was getting dressed, and he took his payoff, folded it in half, and put it in the sole of his shoe. First time I've ever seen anybody do that, except I have placed my money into my boots before. Not saying that you can't trust everybody, but you know, goddammit, you can't trust everybody. Especially the ones that are nicest. You have to watch them. I think that's nice. That would be Akbar. He's an incredible piece of talent. And when I was growing up and going to the matches and seeing him live, it was during the 80s, during all the oil stuff. He especially had that natural heat going. And we were actually in what you would call a redneck part of the country. So he was hated. Especially when he got a good tag team behind him. When I watched him, he had a tag team of Bruiser Bob Sweetan and Mike George. Sweetan coming from Louisiana and Mike George coming from St. Joe, Missouri. And he was actually one of the first pieces of talent that I can remember who actually threw fire, and the people bought it. I mean, I know Waller's been doing it for years, but Akbar was doing it for years before that. Mm-hmm. So, talk about heat. He also, at one point, he was managing a guy by the name of Mr. Pogo, whom I've actually wrestled since. He was working for Wing, and he and I fought all over that damn island. And he also had, there was a powerlifter named Steve Waller who would come in to the tri-state area and was doing a bench press off. And Akbar threw the lifter's chalk in his eyes and burned his eyes. So we rode that for quite a while. You never could trust him. The all-rich oil A-Rab, especially at that time in our history.
Now, I got to ask you, what do you feel that he would want the fans to remember most about him?
He got heat just by walking in the room, just by being him. He didn't have to work real hard at it. Just his presence brought heat to him. And he rode it like a freight train. But the one thing that I'll never forget is, regardless of how much he had, he was always like somebody's grandfather. He had that kind touch about him and respect. We lost a good one when we lost him. He had a heart and actually looked after the boys. And he didn't let his ego override his intents. So it was always nice to have him around. Mm-hmm. Because he would take somebody under his shoulder, under his wing, and pull them aside and smarten them up a little bit and help them come along like he actually gave a damn, because I think he really did. I think he really looked out for the young talent, not because he wanted to check out the young talent, just because he had a heart that way. We took care of them and smartened them up, helped them protect themselves. And I got to ask you guys a question. Since you're in the know,
Mm-hmm.
and the only know I'm into is don't step in the dog do. But, I got a text, a mysterious text, and I don't know who the heck sent it to me, but did Linda Sean pass this morning?
Yes, actually, she did as well.
Oh, he tied.
And Tony Bourne also passed.
Oh, Lord. Oh, nice. This is a rough one, boys.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Now, if you were to write a book about Akbar's life, what would the title be?
I got to tell you, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Not a real catchy title, but everything. He was he rubbed in the fact that he had the oil that we needed, and he very well, and he filled houses all over the tri-state area, all over Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri. Whoever he managed went straight to the top because he had the knowledge and the funds and the wisdom and the charisma to take them there. All they had to do was just shut up and listen, which is the fact with a lot of people. They'd do a whole lot better if they would just shut up, get over themselves, and go on about their business and listen to someone who knows what they're talking about. The reason they call it something I figured out a while back is they call it old school. You know why they call it old school?
Why is that?
Because it was good enough to get old. To last that long.
That's a good answer. Now,
you know what? It's amazing the things that cross your mind when you're indulging in a little pacalolo here and there.
Now, my co-host Andrew Pollack has a few questions for you, so go ahead, Andrew.
Hey, Bart. What kind of an impact do you think Ack would left on the people around him in the business?
Just his touch and his gentleness and his friendship, because he was a very friendly gentleman. And when he took someone under his wing, he took them under his wing, and he was also a friend to them. It wasn't just a business proposition or a performance. It was the real deal.
Okay. What do you feel is Ack's true passion in life outside of the wrestling business?
I would have to say that to settle down and live a good life, which I'm sure he did. He was still managing when it went down, and he was still commanding a decent wage. He wasn't commanding, but he deserved it. When he showed up to perform, showed up to do his job, and no one had to explain anything to him. He didn't have an ego about him. He knew who he was. He knew where he was on the food chain. He knew his shit stunk. Sorry, boys. He knew it, but he didn't try and hide it or walk around it. He came and he performed. He did his job, took care of his boys. Because when he was managing someone, he literally took them aside because he'd be on the road with them. When you're managing someone or someone's managing you, they literally almost take up residence with you because they're the first person you talk to in the morning, the last person you talk to at night. But you become to depend on each other and always have someone who has your back. Because anybody ever heard of the Tennessee handshake?
Yeah.
You got to watch out for the Tennessee handshake. For those that don't, it's where they shake your hand in the front and with the other hand stab you in the back. But that's just that's kind of a coarse way of looking at it, but it's still there. Especially when people believe that they're more to them than they are to the business. Because you always got to know, there's a saying that I learned when I first started was you can work the people, work the promoter, work the boys, but just don't work yourself. So don't lie to yourself. Be honest with yourself and know where you're at in life and where you belong on the food chain. So it's just some, I guess, old school or old timer religion. Just because I refer to as an old timer or being old school. What we call old school. It's the kind that works. That's me. I show up. I'm gonna fight. Whatever it takes. I'm gonna give you your $10 worth.
Yeah, just from what we say.
Listen, boys. Is there anything else I can do? You want me to take out the trash or something while I'm here?
Andrew, you got any more questions?
No, I think that's everything. Thanks so much for your time, Bart.
Well, no, thank you. It's a pleasure to be back. I've had some time off. So it's nice to be back in the saddle. And I can't think of any place to do it than here. So we'll all have a good time. And we'll be back here. Are we weekly? Are we daily? Semi-weekly?
We are weekly.
Then we'll be back at this same time, same back channel. Don't miss it, folks. Be a part of it. If you don't get involved in it, you can't talk about it. So you know what you're talking about when you're talking. So, listen, I got to go.
All right. Thank you very much.